Mr. Kelechi Anyawu joins us now. He's the managing editor of National Daily Newspapers. Thank you for coming on today.
It's my pleasure.
Well, a lot, really going on at the moment. Yes, we're also talking about how or what we all need to do about security. We do know intelligence by other countries who are rallying around us, but there are those who have spoken about the economic implication, the economic role that this security challenge we've got on our hands has. And then the Minister of Finance not long ago spoke about the funds that accrue to states, how states also need to stand up and be counted. You also read that speech, I believe, but how important is that for you?
Yeah, basically, it's very important because for the first time, an official, of the government came up to make it bare so that Nigerians should start asking relevant questions. About almost 50% of the allocations, in this country goes to the states and local government. But, we found out that everybody is looking forward to Abuja, what's government doing, Most of the local governments are dead in this country, and the state governments are receiving so much. So the issue is, what are the state governments doing with what they are receiving? About 3 or 4 state governments in Nigeria, with the allocation they get from the federal government, is far more than the budget of states like countries like Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the Gambia. So if these countries, with what they have, their total budget, they are able to run their countries, they are able to run their affairs, how come that our states that are getting more? I mean, what I'm saying is that what they're getting from federal allocation, not about the internally generated revenue from their states. So if these countries are able to manage the affairs of their country with this amount, how come that our states are not doing enough? So the basis is that if you look at issues on the concurrent list, the states are supposed to take care of education. They're supposed to take care of health. There are issues like infrastructure and stuff like that and welfare they're supposed to take care of. But are they doing it?
Well, thankfully, Commissioner for State Government just left here now, and he's taking pride in saying some of the things that they're doing in their own state. It would seem that some form of healthy competition is beginning to return at that level, so you get to hear a lot of state governments saying, oh, we're doing this better than this state, oh, this state is better than this one. But let's not even look at it from that angle. Let's take it from the area of, the watchdogs. You also run a media organization, managing editor of National Daily Newspaper, that 4th tier of government that should hold this other, not 4th tier, but 4th realm of the estate, that should hold the other 3 accountable. How would we say that we're doing at that level, and what are the challenges that we as media people have noticed at that particular level? Yeah,
basically, it has to, because if you notice, you discover that, some of the issues that are affecting the media has to do with the general challenges we have in this country. But I think that's an area that the media should focus much on, especially the local governments. I mean, a lot of people will go to places like London, go to places like New York, and they see all those big buses, and they think the transportation in London, they think it's being provided by the UK government. No, it's the local government. The City of London is the local government. And a lot of people here don't know that we are losing our local governments. With the way the states are controlling the local governments now, we are losing them. And most of them are not even in existence. We just have chairmen that are just there. So that's why I think it's very important that the media, which is the constituency I belong to, should start focusing, should start going into the grassroots, start asking questions. How much is accrued to this local government? We used to know how much each local government get, but now you find out that most of the state governors are in total control of what the local governments get. Local governments now can't even give contracts to close potholes and stuff like that, the little things that they're supposed to do. So I think it's very important that not only the media, the civil society, and the generality of the populace to start asking questions in this direction.
Some media houses will tell you that they've asked questions like that in the past. as to, why sometimes governors are so protective of local government. I mean, you ask, oh, so as a governor, you're doing really well, but what is happening at the local level? How are you also ensuring that local governments are working to complement some of the things you're doing? And you get responses like, the monies that local governments get is really nothing to write home about. And then oftentimes, they've had to augment. For instance, primary healthcare is under the realm of local government, primary school teachers under the realm of local government, and oftentimes when the local governments are done paying salaries of just these people, they almost have little or nothing left to take home as, something to work with, to even do any sort of projects with. Is this something that you've also found out?
I don't really think that what is accruing to the local governments are not enough. Or the issue we have is that of misappropriation and mismanagement. Even before now, there was a time that local governments in this country were very active. We see them, they do a lot of things. What they're getting now is up to 5 to 6 times compared with what they were getting then. I think it's a kind of a shift whereby the governors have a total control of the local governments now. And now, you discover that some of the little roads and construction works and clearing the gutters that local government used to do, you see them now, you see a signpost saying that it's the state government. So the thing is that I think that the state governments have kind of emasculated the local government. They are now in total control of what happens, and like if you check, how many states have conducted local government elections? So majority of the people who are chairmen are handpicked by the state governors. So if they're handpicked, they're just kind of, they're in their armpit. There's nothing they can do. I think we need to have a structure whereby the local governments, the structure of we need to restructure the system in that the local government should be autonomous of the control of the state governments.
But would you say that we are demanding accountability enough on the parts of the local government, the state government, and the federal government? Or is anything beclouding our thinking or judgment while we attempt or even do that? I
think, that's why I think the statement by the Minister of Finance is very, very important. Because if you notice what's happening in recent times, you discover that a lot of Nigerians focus so much on the federal government. The focus on the state government and the local government are so minimal. Nobody asks questions about what's happening in their state. Nobody asks about what's happening in their localities. Everybody is focusing on the federal government.
Is that really a reality, though? I mean, on a more serious note, is that really, is that really a reality? And if it is, why do you believe it is so?
I think it's a reality. And why I think it's so is that there seems to be an over-concentration of attention at the center. A lot of people are more interested at what's happening at the center than what's happening in their localities.
What explains that attention?
This is a very intriguing situation. Because I think that the politics of the country in recent times has kind of projected the center so much that people have little regard for what's happening in their localities. But I think that should change.
Do you also think it could be because of the concentration of resources at the center?
That's why it's also very important that we talk about, devolution. We talk about how can we make some of these state governments, how can we, because you see, most states, the idea, you hear a lot of Nigerians say that some states are not viable. I don't believe in that. If you have a state that has up to 2 million people, and you say that 2 million people are not viable, because we are looking at natural resources only. If we can look beyond natural resources and think about human resources, when you have 2 million people, I mean, a state like Nasarawa is about 1.8 million. Gambia is 1 million. There are some countries, Equatorial Guinea is not up to 1 million. So, I mean, the focus, I think that the problem we have in this country is focusing on resources. When we talk about resources, we're thinking about natural resources. Nobody has made any effort to talk about human resources. And if we try to refocus that, then we start talking about human capacity development. And that's how some of these states will start seeing that they have enormous resources at their hand, things they can develop, and so to the extent that they won't be dependent on allocation from the federal government.